You didn't choose the people you fall for. You think you did. But the part of you making that choice is younger than you realize. And it learned what love feels like in a house where love was never safe. Childhood trauma does not stay in the past. It migrates. It moves into the way you attach, the way you respond to closeness, the way your body tightens when someone gets too real with you. It moves into who you find irresistible and who you find too easy to love. And here is what makes it so difficult to see. It does not feel like a wound running your life. It feels like your personality. These are the 7 signs that childhood trauma is still making decisions inside your relationships. Before we go through them, understand this. None of these signs mean you are broken. None of them mean your relationships are doomed. They mean your nervous system learned a set of rules very early in a very high-stakes environment, and it has been loyally applying those rules ever since. The mind does not create these patterns out of weakness. It creates them out of survival. The problem is that what kept you safe at 7 is quietly destroying you at 30. Sign 1. You are attracted to people who need fixing, or people who feel emotionally just out of reach. There is a very specific pull some people feel toward partners who are unavailable, emotionally closed off, inconsistent, or visibly broken in some way that seems to call for rescue. That pull does not feel like a red flag. It feels like chemistry. Here is what is actually happening. If you grew up in an environment where love came with conditions, where a parent was emotionally unpredictable, cold, absent, or needed care themselves, your nervous system learned to associate earning love with love itself. The pursuit became the feeling. A partner who is warm, available, and consistent does not activate that circuitry. They feel flat. They feel too easy. They feel somehow unreal. So you move toward complexity, toward the person who pulls you in and then pulls away, toward the emotional puzzle you unconsciously believe, if you can just solve it this time, will finally mean you are enough. You are not looking for love. You are looking for the resolution your childhood never gave you. And the tragedy is the puzzle never resolves, because the person holding it was never the right person to give you that answer. Sign 2. You either cannot ask for needs to be met, or you collapse when they aren't. Watch what happens when you need something from a partner. Do you go quiet? Minimize the need? Convince yourself it was not that important? Wait and hope they figure it out without you having to say it? Or do you ask? And when you do not receive exactly what you needed, does it spiral into something that feels catastrophic? Not disappointing. Catastrophic. Both patterns come from the same root. A child who learned that their needs were too much, that expressing them caused distance, anger, or emotional shutdown in the adult they depended on, learns to manage those needs alone. They get very good at not needing, at performing self-sufficiency so seamlessly that even they begin to believe it. But the need does not disappear. It goes underground, and underground, unspoken needs do not stay quiet. They rot into resentment, withdrawal, or emotional explosions that seem wildly disproportionate to the moment that triggered them. Because the moment that triggered them was never really the issue. Your partner not texting back for 2 hours is not the issue. The issue is a child who waited for an adult to come home and didn't know if tonight would be safe. Sign 3. Conflict does not feel like disagreement. It feels like danger. Two people in a healthy relationship can argue and both remain inside the relationship. That sounds simple. For many people, it is not. If conflict in your home growing up was explosive, screaming, silence as punishment, emotional withdrawal, the threat of abandonment, your nervous system learned a very clean equation. Conflict equals the end of
There's
safety.
nothing to be afraid
So
of.
now,
It's perfectly
when your
safe.
partner raises their voice slightly or goes quiet
just need to
or
let go.
expresses frustration, your nervous system does not register disagreement. It registers threat. Your heart rate jumps.
I'm sorry.
Your body
I
tightens.
really am.
You either go
I
into
didn't mean for
appeasement
any of this
mode,
to happen. It
apologizing
was
for
an
things that
accident.
are not your fault, shrinking, agreeing just to end the tension, or you escalate. Because panic inside a body that is already activated does not wait calmly for resolution. This is where people get trapped, because the actual content of the argument stops mattering. You are no longer in the room with your partner. You are somewhere much older, much smaller, waiting to find out whether the person you love is about to leave or make you wish they had. Sign 4. You are hypervigilant about shifts in someone's mood or tone. You can feel when something is off before anyone says a word. A slight tension in a text message. A fraction of a second of silence before they answer. The way they tilted their head or held their jaw. You read it all, not because you are perceptive in a healthy way, but because you were trained. Children who grew up with emotionally unpredictable caregivers, parents who could shift from warm to cold without warning, who needed to be carefully read, who punished moods that were not managed correctly. Those children became extraordinarily skilled emotional detectors. It was not a gift, it was a strategy for survival. But in your adult relationships, that radar does not turn off. You are constantly scanning for signs that something is wrong, constantly interpreting small things as evidence of larger threats, constantly waiting for the warmth to break. The problem is, when you are always scanning for danger, you cannot be present. You are not in the relationship, you are monitoring the relationship. And the people who love you feel it. They feel like they are always under low-level surveillance, not because you are controlling, but because your nervous system cannot afford to relax. Sign 5. You find genuine safety boring, and you do not know why. A partner who is kind, consistent, emotionally available, and genuinely interested in you, and yet something is missing. Something does not feel quite real. You find yourself restless, slightly numb, going through the motions of a relationship that, by every rational standard, is exactly what you said you wanted. This is not picky taste. This is trauma. When the nervous system spends years inside an environment of emotional inconsistency, it calibrates inconsistency as normal. The unpredictability, the highs and lows, the warmth and withdrawal, the fear and the relief, all of that becomes the emotional baseline. Safety, by contrast, feels like silence, like nothing is happening, like something must be wrong because nothing hurts. That is not love. That is recognition. You're not bored by the person. You are bored by the absence of the wound you have been carrying so long it began to feel like home. The real danger here is this. You will leave good relationships for bad ones, not because you want pain, but because pain is the only love language your nervous system is fluent in. Sign 6. You disappear inside relationships, losing yourself without noticing. At some point, you look up and realize you have reshaped yourself almost entirely around another
enjoyed that
person.
documentary last
Your
night. It was
opinions
fascinating.
softened.
It certainly was.
Your preferences
The director's
shifted.
use of archival
You
footage
stopped
was quite
saying what
compelling.
you actually thought and started saying what kept the peace. You gave up things quietly, interests, friendships, parts of your identity, and told yourself it was compromise. It was not compromise. Children who grew up in environments where their authentic self provoked discomfort, where being too loud, too needy, too sad, or too much caused withdrawal or punishment, learned to shrink. They learned that the version of themselves that was loved was a managed, edited, safer version. And so, in relationships, the editing begins automatically. It does not feel like loss. It feels like adjustment. It feels like maturity. But you are not adjusting. You are disappearing. And then something breaks.
really
Or
feel
you
like I
wake
can
up
trust
one
you.
day and realize
It's
you have been
strange. I don't usually
performing
open up this
closeness
easily,
with
but
someone
you just have a
who
way of
has
making me
never
feel
actually
safe.
met you. Because you never let them. Because part of you still believes that if they met the real version, they would leave. Sign 7. You sabotage things precisely when they become real. This one is the most painful to name. Everything is going well, maybe better than anything you have experienced before. The relationship feels solid. The person is genuine. For the first time, you can feel something close to safety beginning to form. And then you destroy it. Not always dramatically. Sometimes it is a slow, quiet destruction, withdrawing emotionally, picking fights that do not need to happen, finding reasons to doubt what is real, pushing until the person proves they will leave, and feeling something almost like relief when they do. Because at least now you know how this ends. This is the shadow beneath intimacy. Because intimacy is not just warmth and connection. It is also exposure. And for someone who learned that being truly seen, truly known, truly dependent led to pain, the closer a relationship gets, the more dangerous it feels. The sabotage is not self-destruction, it is self-protection. It is a nervous system that learned the moment you let them fully in is the moment you are fully vulnerable to losing them. And losing them, if you let them in completely, will not just hurt. It will confirm the thing you have believed about yourself since childhood, that you were the reason it fell apart. Here is the part most people miss. These patterns do not feel like wounds. They feel like character. They feel like personality, preferences, instinct, taste. You call yourself independent, but it is armor. You call yourself perceptive, but it is fear. You call yourself selective, but it is the same wall you have been building since you were a child. And the most dangerous moment is not when you see these patterns in yourself. The most dangerous moment is when you see them, understand them intellectually, and still cannot stop them. Because understanding a trauma pattern without doing the work of actually processing the original wound does almost nothing. You can name every defense mechanism and still activate them on command. You can understand why you self-sabotage and still watch yourself do it in real time, like a passenger inside your own behavior. The wound is not in the mind, it is in the body. It is in the nervous system. It is in the part of you that learned before language, before logic, before you had any tools to protect yourself with, that love was not safe. And that part does not respond to explanation. It responds to experience, slowly, imperfectly. Over time, childhood trauma does not make you incapable of love, but it does build a version of love that was designed for survival, not for connection, a version that keeps you protected from the very thing you need most. The 7 signs in this video are not flaws. They are answers to questions you've been asking in the dark for a long time. Why do I keep choosing the same person in a different body? Why does safety feel like absence? Why do I become someone I don't recognize when I'm loved? Now you have a name for it. And having a name is not healing, but it is the first time you can look at the wound directly, instead of through the reflection of every person you have ever damaged or lost trying to outrun it. If something in this video named what you have been living quietly, the comment section is below. You don't have to explain all of it. One line is enough. And if this reached something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it named. There are more videos on this channel that go deeper. The next one might be the one that finally makes it click. Shadow Depths. What lies beneath the surface.